It's happening, everyone! SIVA is returning! Upon reading the new lore on Blast Furnace, SIVA lovers everywhere rejoiced. Bottles of copium started being popped in celebration. Tears were being wept as strangers donning red and black whispered, "I never gave up on you." Xbox messages being sent by Destiny users hit an all-time high with, "I told you so's." SIVA has, for the last 8 years now, been the most requested and least understood enemy in the history of Destiny. I would dare to say that 90% of SIVA fans aren't even really SIVA fans. They are fans of the colors red and black and angry Rasputin. Because SIVA returned over a year ago and barely anyone even noticed. I do have a longer video going over this, but long story short, every single time you step foot on Neptune, you are hanging out in and around SIVA. SIVA is not an enemy. SIVA is just construction material. That's it. The SIVA we see in Rise of Iron was just angry Rasputin programming the nanobots to take over an area. Now, I will get back to Neptune in a bit, but first, let's take a look at the Blast Furnace lore. And I'll personally produce a limited number of previously unreleased designs. An alternate version of Blast Furnace, for example, Ada-1 explains. First you strong-arm us into altering our specs, the Beast rep scolds, and now you come begging for the very models the Vanguard rejected? They would have turned the Crucible into a graveyard, Shax interjected. I don't regret. I think what Lord Shax is saying, Ada-1 interrupted, shooting the Titan a razor-sharp glance, is that your prototypes were ahead of the market. Their time to shine is now. Can the soft sell, replied the Amalan rep. The numbers are right, so we're in. But what's the catch? The Beast rep asked suspiciously. No catch, Ada-1 steepled her fingers. In a year's time, we'll all be dead. The reps shifted uncomfortably. Or we'll have defeated the witness, she continued. In either case, it's time to diversify our offerings with newly released designs and more. The Beast rep arched her eyebrow. What do you have in mind? Ada's tone warmly slighted. Just an idea. There's an old Cosmodrome program whose revival I think could be quite useful. I'm just going to give this to you guys straight. Ada-1 is most likely not talking about SIVA. I'm sorry, SIVA fans, but given the context and what we know, SIVA being subtly mentioned here makes the least amount of sense. The context of this lore passage is Ada-1 looking for ways that will help fight the witness. So whatever she is talking about has to be done within the next 4 weeks. First of all, SIVA has never been referred to as an old Cosmodrome program. This puts ownership of the program on the area. In fact, I've searched through most SIVA lore, if not all, and cannot find a single reference to it being called a program. It has always been referred to as a technology. SIVA was also not created in the Cosmodrome. It was invented in a Clovis Bray facility on Mars. So if it was called an old Mars program, I could see maybe it being a subtle callback. This is also not a nod to Zero Hour making a return. Zero Hour takes place in the Old Tower and Last City. And we know for a fact the Last City is not in Russia. It's most likely in South America. More specifically, Chile. We saw where the Last City was located during Season of the Seraph, and people mapped it to the Andes Mountains. As you can see with the map overlays, it lines up perfectly to an area in Chile. This also makes sense with Amanda Holiday family lore and the fact Hawthorne picked us up in a jump ship to take us to Europe. Now I do know someone's gonna argue and say, how is that possible? We walked to the farm in Red War from the Last City. Well, that's kind of simple. We don't walk from the Last City to the farm. We walk to an extraction point and then we fly the rest of the way.
Oh, look. Somebody left a perfectly good guardian lying around. Things must be worse than I thought. And that's our cue. Time to go, people!
But wait. Where are you all going?
As far away from here as possible.
That Falcon, it belongs to you?
The name's Hawthorne, and this is Lewis. Best pilot we got. What about you? Fit to fly? Probably gonna need one of these, too. Time to make yourself useful, Guardian. All right, people, spin 'em up! Got a long flight ahead of us!
So this cannot be a nod to 0 Hour returning, due to the location and context of this lore passage. So what can this be referring to? Well, there's a couple of options that make sense, but first I will discuss even more why it's most likely not SIVA. At the end of Rise of Iron, the SIVA replication chamber in the Cosmodrome was completely destroyed.
We need to go. We need to go very fast.
Well done, my young one. SIVA is gone, and the Iron Lords are at peace.
There is no replication chamber left in the Cosmodrome. We initiated self-destruct, and even Saladin tells us it's all gone. I mean, maybe someone could rebuild it, but I find that highly unlikely. And seeing as how we know that Aramis attacked the city to try to get Outbreak so that she could have SIVA, if SIVA was still around in the Cosmodrome, why wouldn't she just go there? She was part of the House of Devils during the SIVA stuff, so she knew where the replication chamber was because it's completely destroyed. So it was easier to attack the last city than go to her old stomping grounds in the Cosmodrome to get SIVA, because SIVA's not there. And rebuilding it is just not worth the effort and the potential problems we could face if we released this version of SIVA again. That's just not a risk we should ever take. Which brings me to my next point. There's perfectly usable SIVA on Neptune. We were told in one of the Veil containments that Neptune Neomuna was built with SIVA. So they have perfectly working SIVA right there. And if we really want to get our hands on SIVA and not risk causing a huge mess, we could just call Nimbus. I mean, of course, any conversation with Nimbus is mind-numbingly dumb and kills brain cells, but the option is still there. Just remember, the wrong Cloud Strider died. We also have SIVA tech in the tower. 0 Hour proved that, as well as the lore on the Iron Gallahorn says that it was made with SIVA. The refurbished Gallahorn carried into battle by the newest Iron Lord is a melding of new and old. The time-tested Crux and Lamar design combined flawlessly with Shiro's modified SIVA tech. The result? A peerless weapon that embodies beauty in destruction and delivery. We already have SIVA at our disposal. My point is there is no reason to go to the Cosmodrome for SIVA. And given the context of the Blast Furnace lore, it's obvious Ada-1 is looking for something to help fight the Witness. So what could she be talking about that isn't SIVA? I think there's a few very plausible options, but I will say one is mostly theory at this point. I think she could be talking about Rasputin, or maybe a Submind. Yes, I know he's dead. We watched him die, and some of you all cried. But Rasputin isn't 100% gone. To what degree he's still around, we don't really know.
Rasputin's gone, but his legacy's spread between all these little fragments now. The Subminds, Felwinter, even that cute little robo-mutt of his.
I mean, Anna Bray even tells us that Rasputin is still around to some degree. While Rasputin may no longer be with us, the Subminds still exist. Each one was a fragment of himself working with him and independently. Even our little favorite puppy in the tower, Archie, is a fragment of Rasputin. I am not sure if Rasputin can come back, but his Subminds are still active and can be used. There are two well-known Subminds, Charlemagne on Mars and Malihate on the Moon. But there is a third that is referenced a few times, voluspa. And one of those times is on the Sleeper Simulant lore. This is a central assets imperative, secured conference. This is an internal alert. Number of exterior defenses breaches has increased by 400% in the past year. Current campus defense protocols unable to keep up with new demands. Operation Midnight Extension is not yet complete. Interim response necessary is imperative. Hypothesize that resource guardians may be leveraged to compensate for CDP inadequacies. Reassign 12% of Cosmo assets to new directive. Declare Aquilos. I am calling voluspa and extracting subroutine Davlin Forge to be modified and recoupled to comport to Midnight Exurgent parameters. I am inserting the modified Davlin Forge 2 into Aquilos and compiling for immediate implementation. Execute short hold for partial shutdown and reactivation. Stop, stop, stop. This Submind seems to be the end of the world WARMIND, or Submind. It is in charge of stopping a humanity-level extinction event, and it was previously used against the Black Fleet before the collapse. One of the things voluspa does is help arm humanity to fight back. Not only arm them, but mass-produce weapons. One of those was Sleeper Simulant. The Witness trying to enact the final shape would most likely, be considered a world-ending event. I mean, I would classify that, and I think some people would too. Now, why I say this is a theory is because of two reasons. One, we don't know where this Submind is located. And two, there is a chance voluspa isn't a Submind, but a protocol. But due to this lore that I'm about to read, I believe it is in fact a Submind. Immediate Evaluation Directive. This is a Polaris Assets Imperative. Secured, undisclosed. This is an internal alert. Multiple disrupted Polaris axons report increased sterile neutrino patterning correlating to increase in AVG Polaris temp. Reactivated aeroseismatic analysis detects high quantities of non-native organic chitin. Axon 5 Sierra's event footprint includes evidence of vermiform parasites. Unconfirmed, red. One hypothesis on event mechanism, flag acausal, possibility of hard civilization, kill event is non-zero. Check variable AVG Polaris temp. AVG Polaris temp greater than or equal to melting point. I am assessing available voluspa and Charlemagne resources. I am assuming control of atmospheric defenses, Warsat comprehensive, and invoking Aurora Palisade. I am assessing available voluspa and Charlemagne resources. This is the line that leads me to believe that this is in fact a Submind that is on the level of Charlemagne. There are still 2 WARMIND bunkers that we do not know what Submind is in control. I'll be honest, I had no idea about this one until about 30 minutes ago, but there is one on Mercury. In Destiny 1, there's a Crucible map that takes place in a WARMIND facility on Mercury. Now, I was unaware of this because this map was a PlayStation exclusive and I was an Xbox player, and it would not come out to Xbox till a few months after the release of Destiny 2. And the other WARMIND bunker is in the Cosmodrome. Yes, I know, Rasputin is there, and we talked to him in the Saber Strike, but that was not his main base of operations. Rasputin seemed to be able to move around and take control of WARMINDs and their facilities, as seen in the WARMIND DLC. Charlemagne was the Submind in control of Helios Basin before Rasputin assumed control. But this also was the birthplace of Rasputin, so at one point this area was under his control. So if voluspa is the WARMIND over the Cosmodrome facility, this would make perfect sense to call upon it for protection against the most world-ending threat we have ever experienced. This Submind that has a job of producing weapons for humanity could help make a very interesting weapon we know is returning come to be. In the Final Shapes showcase, it is revealed that the Kvostov exotic was making a return in Final Shape, the very first gun we ever receive in a former Rise of Iron exotic. This is honestly the most likely thing that's being referenced in this lore passage with Ada-1. It is very common to say something as a weapons program. Now, I know weapon ornaments are not hints at the future content, but I will throw out that one of the Kvostov ornaments was called the Last WARMIND. There is one more idea I have, and I'll be honest, I put it last because I do think it's not very likely given the context. Ada-1 is a weapons manufacturer / seamstress, and she's talking to other weapon manufacturers, which means most likely that is the context, is weapons. But she does say she wants to diversify her offerings with new designs and more. More does leave open the possibility that she is talking about more than just weapons. There is a major program located dead center in the middle of the Cosmodrome, the Exodus program. It would not be far-fetched to think Ada-1 would want to revive a program to send humanity away from the dangers happening at home. This could also lead to future content outside our solar system. We've all heard the rumors of Destiny 3 circulating around the community for weeks now. If Bungie were to make a Destiny 3 and place it outside of the solar system, they would start dropping hints now. Red War was being hinted at a little during Taken King, and again in Rise of Iron. The breadcrumbs were being tossed out on the ground early for us to find. Only time will tell, but in the meantime, thank you all for watching this video, and a special thank you to my best Muffin and Above members, Pulse, Prince Mav, Son of a Mitch, and a thank you to all my VIP Discord members, Puddles, Amid, Broken Pebbles, Away Galaxy, Pulse, Quick Draws, Sir Hobbit, and SYNJ. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and comment. And remember, hunters never die.
Hunters never die. Hunters never die. No, hunters never die. Hunters never die. No, hunters never die.